Thanks, Mdluli. Let's get straight into it. In 1979, Standard Bank and Wits University entered into an agreement to build the collection, which now holds over 5,000 artworks. Artworks from different sources and are selected according to the goal outlined in the agreement of acquiring, preserving and exhibiting African art. While the collection mainly contains historical African artworks, there's also a small proportion of modern and contemporary South African artwork. Well, to tell us more about the significance of this 40-year collaboration is Dr Same Mdluli, who is the manager of the Standard Art Gallery. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. What a phenomenal achievement. 5,000 African artworks. What did it take?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. Well, I would say it really is extraordinary, this partnership between Wits and Standard Bank. And to answer your question of what did it take, I think it took being visionaries, and in a sense that I think both institutions had foresight in particularly focusing on this specific area, because what makes this collection unique is precisely the kind of items that you will find in the collection. It's not your contemporary, I mean, there are some contemporary pieces, but the majority of it is indigenous African art. So your masks, beadwork, pottery, woven baskets, textiles, all of which I think speak about Africa's diversity.
What makes this 40-year collaboration significant, especially at a time like this one?
Well, I think it's important to also bear in mind that, you know, both institutions were very different, or the South Africa of when this collection started is very different from South Africa right now, which is 40 years ago. And I think what the impact of this collection has shown is that preserving cultural material does not only, I think, benefit society or, but it's more about a kind of cultural heritage identity that these items speak to, because, you find in the collection there is extraordinary beadwork, for example, that speaks about the kind of techniques that very few people are using today. Even the nature of the kind of materials, where previously there were glass beads used and now it's more kind of plastic beads that are used. All these things kind of speak about the evolution of society as well as cultural traditions.
That's really important, the evolution of society and cultural preservation, especially because the collection is around the continent. What story does it tell about the vibrancy of the continent?
Well, I think once again it confirms, the kind of contested debate around art. Well, Africa as a continent being this that is not homogeneous. It's the Africa we speak of. People need to, especially the international, that Africa is not a country, one country. It comprises of a multiplicity of cultures and traditions and belief systems, all of which I think in some ways are reflected in this collection. Over the years, I think because the collection is collected through an acquisition committee, the acquisition committee has tried to, I think, give a fuller representation of what the kind of cultural richness you find in different parts of the continent, north, east, south, and west, all of which I think are quite different, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the movements, especially as we look at the continent and its contribution to the world. I mean, we've learnt of pop art, we've learnt of abstract and cubism. What movements does your collection speak to when it comes to expressing itself in the art form?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, again, when we speak of African art, it doesn't share the kind of same trajectory that Western art history, for example, shares. African art is more community-based. A lot of the items, for example, masks, are used in ceremonies and rituals, right? So they're not necessarily kind of made in the same way that Western art is for kind of aesthetic purposes. So these items actually have a function within a greater part of society. So in terms of movements within art, I think it's better to speak more of what are the kind of cultural belief systems that you find in Africa that some of these items come from and have been manifested.
And very quickly, before we let you go, just for the sake of time, let's talk about how, South Africans and people can be involved in viewing the work, and perhaps talk to us about the sort of value you've attached coming down to the rands and cents.
Yeah. So the title of the exhibition of this 40-year celebration of this partnership is Seen, Heard and Valued. And I think that's an important aspect of the collection, that in titling it this, the curators were really kind of encouraging people or the public to experience this collection in such a way that the items that are made and the people that have made these objects and these pieces feel seen, heard, and valued. And that's really, in essence, what the exhibition is about, and has extended into what the collection comprises.
How much would a collection with 500,000 or so artwork be valued at? How many billions are we looking at here?
So that's just the thing I think about this kind of collection, is that it's intangible in that, you're talking about material culture, and there really isn't a way of putting any sort of monetary value to it. It's more of a cultural and heritage value, for example, that speak to, I think, what legacy that we will leave behind for generations to come, and that you can't put any price on.
Thank you so much for your time. What a phenomenal discussion. Dr. Same Mdluli, manager of the Standard Art Gallery, of course, talking to some 5,000 or so African artwork collection built over a 40-year period. Really, really incredible. We